the folks in Denver were, as usual, about that high, maybe even higher. You know who was there? The Boz. We're at number 55 now. Doing a lot of thinking before the game. The Boz was a factor early. John Elway on the scramble. The Boz said he would find him. Well, at least on this play he did. Just before he gets to the sideline, Elway learns what it is to take a hit from Brian Bosworth. A lot of tough hits today, as you would imagine. Everybody was hitting. Randall Morris, he is nailed by Dennis Smith right there. Now, Denver ball, Sammy Winder. And watch Freddie Young, a three-time Pro Bowler, pop him. Yeah, they were scuffing and battling in Denver. Early first quarter, Elway, ball is tipped. Number 45, Kenny Easley, comes down with it for the INT for the Seahawks. Later on in that drive, David Craig to Darrell Turner, who less than every 3 catches makes it a touchdown reception. That's an amazing stat. Haynes is beaten 7-0 Seattle. But on Denver's next drive, Elway, play fake. Then to Steve Sewell out of the backfield. Takes it away from Terry Taylor and Eugene Robinson. He goes all the way, 72 yards, and he knows he's in, tied at 7. On Seattle's next drive, Kurt Warner, number 28, goes 28. Watch the moves inside, then makes a couple of other moves, shakes a tackle into the secondary. Warner, though, shaken up on this play, seemed to be okay later. A few plays later, thanks to Kurt's run, he was fine because Warner caught the ball from David Craig. 14-7 Seattle. Second quarter. Denver ball. Gerald Willite is nailed by the Boz. Ball squirts free. Freddie Young is going to pick it up, and number 50 has a convoy. He says there's the one man to beat, and it's a quarterback. Elway gets in there. He doesn't quite beat him, but it sets up a Norm Johnson field goal. 17-7 Seattle, second quarter. Did it change after that? I guess so. A couple of Rich Carlos field goals makes it 17-13. Then at the end of the half, Bobby Joe Edmonds collides with Tony Burris. Fumble. Mark Munford picks it up for Denver. A few plays later, with the clock ticking down in the first half, Elway with, does he have time here? Oh, you're not open, you're not open. Steve Watson with a beautiful catch, looked like he was throwing it away. And Chuck Knox upset because it is 20-17, Denver at the half. Seattle more problems. Craig ball goes off Steve Largen's chest. Dennis Smith picks it off. And the Broncos in business. Chuck still not enjoying himself once again at Mile High Stadium. Setting up this play, John Elway to the big, and I mean big, tight end Orson Mobley, number 89, 27-17, 5-yard touchdown pass. Late in the third quarter, next drive for the Seahawks, Craig to Raymond Butler, but the ball is stripped. Dennis Smith, Mr. Opportunistic, around it again, recovers another Seahawk turnover. This sets up the Denver flea flicker. The pitch back from Sewell. Elway to Vance Johnson on the fly. 59 yards, 34-17. Tack on a couple of field goals, and I'll tell you what, 33 straight points for the Broncos after the Seahawks led by 10 early in the second quarter, and the Denver Broncos win going away from the Seahawks by a score of 40-17. And I guess Redskins and the Eagles. First quarter, the Redskins received a major scare. Here's what I'm talking about. Reggie White flies through the defensive line, the offensive line, I should say, and he sacks Jay Schrader. Landed heavily on his shoulder, leaving the game with a sprained shoulder. X-rays, though, fortunately negative. So Doug Williams comes in with a 3-0 lead. His first series ends with a gun strike to Art Monk. First touchdown pass in the NFL since 1982 for Doug. On the point after disaster, Cedric Brown blocked into Jess Atkinson. He goes out with a dislocated ankle. The kicker, Joe Gibbs, is saying, my goodness, we're already looking at the bench. Second quarter, Eagles strike back. Randall Cunningham to Mike Quick, who is just that, and the Eagles trail at 10-7. Eagles try some razzle-dazzle for Buddy Ryan. Only early the second quarter, so why not an onside kick? The Redskins weren't ready. Bobby Morris pounces on the football for the Eagles. Just as the Eagles think they have the Skins stunned, on the first play after that kick, Cunningham looks deep for Mike Quick. But Todd Bowles is there for the leaping INT, and the Redskins take over. Eagles tried a couple of fake punts, too. Both did not work. Tied at 10 in the second quarter, George Rogers busts his way to the line. And then, yes, the ball did cross the goal line, touchdown, but Rogers left the game with bruised ribs. Second half, Redskins come out smoking. Doug Williams, play action. Throwing deep. He's got the arm, you know that. And Ricky Sanders hauls it in for 57 yards down to the 1. Later, a touchdown makes it 24-10. It's now 24-17. Doug Williams feels the wrath of Reggie White. Schrader did earlier. White not only sacks him, but he steals the ball. And Reggie White, the minister of defense, goes 70 yards with the touchdown, ties the game at 24. White is tired, but the Skins are stunned. In the fourth quarter, Washington, a little urgent now. But Williams gets the time and finds number 81, Art Mock, for the touchdown. Williams, 17 of 27, 2 TDs today, 272 yards, 31-24. Eagles threaten late. Cunningham looking to Ron Johnson, but he's picked off by Barry Wilburn. Later on, Steve Cox came in to kick a field goal, a 40-yarder, which, oh, by the way, is the shortest field goal in the career of Steve Cox in the National Football League. And so Washington wins it by 10, 34-24. I know the Eagles lost the game, Tom, but you were looking all day long and commenting about Reggie White. Did defensive players stand out?
We talked about it even before the game started. He is a man among boys in any league.
He certainly showed that today, but the Redskins' Doug Williams showing a little spark there, shows he is not rusty whatsoever, and you have to be happy for Doug, a man who has bided it, is that a word, his time, and shows that he still has the talent to win in the National Football League. We'll get the dictionary out in the break. Two other NFC East teams went to the wire, and with a look at those games, here's Gail Gardner.
Okay, Chris, thank you. You know, despite last year's nightmare season, the Dallas Cowboys entered Busch Stadium in St. Louis today with all sorts of history on their side. They were always strong in season openers. They've beaten up on the Cards significantly this last decade, and St. Louis hadn't won a home opener since 1975. Neil Lomax becoming a key with Kelly Stouffer unsigned. The Cards' first possession, Lomax hooks up with Roy Green, who beats Everson Walls. 44-yard completion, a sign of things to come, led to a field goal that made it 3-0 St. Louis. On defense, Cards were stunting and blitzing early. Much of the blitzing by the defensive backs. Leonard Smith dropped Danny White for an 8-yard loss. Fumble coming after the whistle. To combat the blitzing, and without Mike Sherrard, they went to tight end Doug Cosby. And to Herschel Walker coming out of the backfield. Walker with a 37-yard game, 7 receptions at 90 yards for Walker. The Cowboys had a 6-3 lead into the fourth quarter. Danny White, whose right wrist was injured in '86, it's still sore. He banged it on Curtis Greer's leg on the throw. But White got up, shook off the pain, and came back to throw a 20-yard touchdown pass to Gordon Banks. And the Cowboys were breezing 13-3. The Cards shut down all second half until there was a minute 58 left, and Lomax throwing 16 yards to Roy Green in the corner of the end zone. Ron Francis beaten on that play. 13-10, Cowboys still leading. Banner says don't give up, and Lomax on the field urging the crowd at Busch Stadium to come on, help us out. Cards drive down once again, 53 seconds left. Out of the shotgun, Lomax finds Green once again, beating Everson Walls once again. 22-yard touchdown pass. That made it 17-13. And the Cards added another late score, 27-13. The final 2 touchdown passes to Roy Green in a span of 65 seconds. Broke that one open. Lomax 17 of 34 for 269 yards. And as we alluded to, it was their first win at home, first win of a home opener at home since 1975. So big win for the Cards today. Let's go back to Chris.
All right, Gail, thank you. The times, they are changing. Still to come. Early leads don't mean an easy win. That's what the Lions and Vikings found out. Plus, Pete will add them up after week number 1. No need to weep. Stay with us.
If you've shopped for family cars, you've probably checked out Toyota Camry and Honda Accord. But your shopping list isn't complete until you've added this new Mazda 626. It has more interior room, more luxury features, and more standard equipment. And beats Camry and Accord by hundreds. You've just got to drive it. Once you do, I'm positive you'll be putting the 626 at the top of your list.
A better family car value comes from our intense commitment to your total satisfaction. That's the Mazda way.
You can keep on moving with Twix. Old timers versus Central High. Okay, youngster, you can kiss it goodbye.
Dance.
Round in the bases.
Catch those whippers, snappers, faces.
Chocolate, peanut butter, satisfaction. Light crispy cookie, let you stay in the action.
Won't slow you down.
When you gotta get around. Twix lets you show 'em what you can do. Trotting on home.
23 skidoo, do, you do.
Keep on moving with Twix.
A year ago in week 1, Detroit went into the Metrodome and shocked the Vikings 13-10. They tried for a deja vu today. Yeah, the Vikings do own a lead at home in the season series, but a lot of those games weren't played in this building. Wade Wilson felt the pressure today, starting for Tommy Kramer. First and 10 on his own 34. The ball bounces away from Anthony Carter. And James Griffin returns it to the 38-yard line of the Vikes, setting up a 3rd and 3 for Detroit on the Viking 10. Chuck Long, starting to be these days for the Lions, looks for his tight end. I said I wouldn't do it, but Rob Rubik could not come up with the cube right there. Incomplete. Field goal by Eddie Murray. He had a couple of short ones. 6-0 Lions now. The Vikings down 6-3 in the second quarter, but Dwayne Galloway picks the bounce, and Detroit in business again on the turnover. 2 interceptions of Wade Wilson. Floyd Peters calling defensive signals for the Vikings. As Chuck Long, it's 3rd and 6 on the 8th. He looks for Mark Nichols. Once again, they're in deep, but once again, the Lions can only convert on an Eddie Murray field goal. He'd have 4 of them. This is a 24-yarder, all short, but field goals instead of touchdowns would cost them. 2nd and 9 from the 25. Wade Wilson overthrows, and guess what? Dwayne Galloway is there for a second INT. He could go all the way. Not quite, though. He steps out of bounds to the 4-yard line. Long to Manley touchdown, 16-3. Tommy Kramer says, Wade, we got to do this. So at the end of the second quarter, Wilson comes back to the rookie, DJ Dozier, out of Penn State, touchdown, 16-10. Now, on the Detroit sidelines, Darryl Rogers is upset, and Wilson keeps moving. In the third quarter, Wade Wilson from the shotgun to his burner, number 81, Anthony Carter, and he is long gone for a touchdown. And it's a 19-17 Detroit lead, but it's slipping away because Dozier flies for a 1-yard touchdown. The Vikings lead 24-19, and then momentum continues late in the third. Wilson, when he played in Canada, Leo Lincoln Locomotive Lewis, touchdown, 24 yards. The Vikings up 31-19. They add another field goal by Chuck Nelson, and they win it by a score of 34-19. The Vikings spotting the Lions, the early lead, then moving.